Alright guys, so you know what? Let's start. Persons can always fall in, alright? So, welcome again for, another segment of what we are doing here at Neil and Taylor NT Academy. So for those who don't know me, my name is Diane Moran Neil, and along with Ziska Goodrich Taylor, we are the founders of NT Academy, and we are also the owners of Neil and Taylor Wedding and Events, alright? So today we will be speaking about everything wedding trends, but not just wedding trends, because the information that I'm going to be sharing today, or we're going to be sharing, is not only for bride and grooms, it's also for, persons in the various sectors, in different industries, and so on, all right? So, I want to talk to you a little bit about trends, right? And how trends are decided upon. I mean, what higher power deems A or B to be trending, all right? Because sometimes you look around on social media and you will see something that is trending, and you're going to wonder, well, I am into cake, so I am a crochet person, or I am a caterer, and why what I am doing is not trending? Why is someone else doing something and it's working for them but it's not working for me? All right? So, basically, whether you love trends or you hate it, trends really are an integral part of the wedding industry, and not just, again, not the wedding industry, but the industry as a whole. And being able to predict the ways that couples or your clients are looking to you for advice, and what platforms they are on, and what apps they are using, and that is something we need to think about. All right. So this is what is going to take you or set you apart from your competitors. All right. So guys, if you see me looking at multiple screens, it's because I have 3 screens up, so I am looking at different screens. All right. Okay. So if you want to be on the sharp edge of your business in the next couple of years, you want to keep doing what you're doing, and you love what you're doing, you have a passion for it, guys, stay tuned, because what we are doing, we're going to be sharing with you a lot of insider secrets, all right? And not just the latest trends in terms of weddings, but how to become a trendsetter as a whole. All right, so let's basically dive into this world of trends, all right? And the question I want to answer first is, who decides what's trending? Who comes up with this concept? Who decides what is trending? And you know what? The answer really lies in whose voice is the loudest, right? Because trends are really opinionated. Believe me or not, guys, trends are very opinionated. And the greatest opinion or the loudest voice tends to shape and mold that particular trend. Now, having said that, we who are, wedding professionals, we need to be cognizant, not just wedding professionals, but persons in the various sectors need to be cognizant of the trends that is happening within your particular industry. And we have to be aware of what people are craving to see in terms of your designs, your proposals, your products, and things like that, all right? And it's really crucial in our industry that we need to understand how not to lose, your personal creative voice or your personal touch, but you're still adhering to this trends, of the season, right? Because each year, trends comes in and it goes out. It evolves. It never stays, all right? And, being in this constant changing culture that we are in, trends quickly come as they go. So it's really important to understand exactly what a trend is. So we're going to start off with that. What is a trend? And trends are the general direction in which something is developing or something is changing, right? Nothing stays still forever, right? Things keeps changing, things keeps evolving. And persons now, because especially of COVID-19, persons have a need to feel connected. You're no longer going to work. Well, not all of us, right? You're no longer, hugging a person when when you see, I'm a hugger, right? Like, I have some really good friends who, when I see them, like, you can't do that anymore, right? So, COVID-19, a lot of persons. All right, so let me just continue. Hey guys. All right. So guys, if you are If you are not seeing me over at Neil and Taylor, you can always check us out. You can log in directly at, if you're not seeing me at NT Academy, switch across to Neil and Taylor. We are over there. So let me just put a notification here, right? So if you are not seeing me, connect with me on Neil and Taylor. All right. So let me continue. All right, so we know that that trends are forever changing. It's never the same. All right, and they come as quickly as they go. All right, so as I was saying, you need to be cognizant of the fact of what is happening within your industry. All right, and especially as I was saying with COVID-19, you have this drive to feel connected. And to have a feeling of, of belonging, a feeling of where you can share with another person, right? And especially on social media, all right? So when it comes to designing with trends, you shouldn't simply be interpreting, you should be transcending, all right? And however, to transcend, you first need to understand what the audience is connecting to and what they are influenced by. So one of the best ways to understand today's audience is to really pay attention to past, current, and upcoming trends. So let's get on with the fun part. This is the part that I know a lot of you guys are interested in seeing. All right. So I really wanted to share my screen with you, but I'm not sure exactly what happened here with the link to the NT Academy. So I'm not able to. For some reason it came off, so I'm not exactly sure what happened there. So guys, remember, you can come across to Neil and Taylor and you'll be able to see us on that website. All right, so I just informed my guys over at the NT Academy that I lost the link there, so they can come across to Neil and Taylor and you would be able to just click on it and you would be able to see and hear everything what's happening. All right, so let me just continue. So what we are going to be doing today is we are going to break down this session into 3 sections. All right, we are going to be looking at the shifts that we have seen within the industry. We are going to talk about the trends that we have definitely seen, which was influenced by the pandemic. And then we are going to look at some actual trends that we are starting to see shine through for the second half of 2021 and into 2022. All right. So without a doubt, one of the top trends that we are seeing at this time is a term that we use over at Neil and Taylor. It's something called the penopulate wedding, and this is you have those really intimate micro wedding, those personalized wedding. So the intimate wedding was born out of these many restrictions that we have been placed on, or which have been placed on couples around the world. All right. Some, of course, have chosen to postpone their weddings, and then some have not. All right. So, for example, we had a bride. She actually connected us since in 2019. However, she decided to postpone the wedding because she wanted to have all of her family there. All right. And then things you're just going into lockdown, and which cannot be helped because of the pandemic. So that's what I'm saying. Some persons have chosen to postpone their wedding, and some persons have opted to have that more relaxed affair with a guest of 30 persons and under, or whatever the restriction is permitted. All right. So what I'm saying is that we have the 3 areas that we are going to be looking at. The first one, we are going to break down the shifts that we have seen within the industry. The second one, we are going to look at the trends which was influenced by the pandemic. And in the third one, we are going to see the new trends for actually not new, but trends which we have started to see shine through for the second half of 2021, and trends which we are seeing emerging into 2022. All right. So like I just mentioned, the top trend that we have noticed right now is the term that we have seen at the NT Academy, which is called the penopulate wedding, and that is for the more personalized, intimate micro wedding, right? Some person chose to, postpone their wedding, and some person say, you know what, we are just going to do it, we are just going to have our wedding, it's going to be small, but we want that intimate touch, all right? Now, that type of wedding, those really intimate micro wedding with less than 30 persons, or again dependent on what your restrictions allow, that type of wedding, it tends to have a fusion of the more formal and the informal with a more bigger head count budget. So let me say that again. You're gonna have this kind of semi-formal. Yes, you have formal, but then you also have a bit of an informality to it as well. But then the same amount of budget that you would have had for your big wedding, you decide to say, here what, I'm going to have that, I'm going to take that same money and just, have my guests have this, 5-star type event, all right? And this is why they would have a larger head count budget as compared to having a very big wedding. You understand? So they kind of more focus on the guest experience more than anything else. And there's been this real thought about that guest goes into in terms of, in some cases you're seeing people having these 7-course meals and, this beautiful head table and all these other things that goes along with it. You see all of that, all right? Now, another trend that we have seen, in this industry shift, is something called the sequel wedding. Now, what that term means is wed now and you party later. Right? And I kind of really love that idea, because, this has really been a direct result of the pandemic, and that is where you're seeing a shift in the industry. So you have a lot of brides that will come to us and say, yeah, what? We want to get married, right? But we want to have our reception in 2022. So they're going to book us for 2022, and then they're going to say, here what, I want you guys to plan our wedding. It's going to be very small, it's going to be something similar to the pre-ultimate wedding, but we want, something, we want to party later, we want to invite everybody, all my family and friends and so on, right? So they're going to have this big heck of a party in the future, however long, all right? And I mean, what's not to love about that? Now, the couples do get to have, a beautiful ceremony, right? Because, they still want that memory, they still want to have, that experience, all right? So just remember that things are changing all over the world and it's not happening at the same time, right? And then you have virtual weddings, right? Everything has gone virtual to spending time with family and friends. And I know for me, with my mother, she is 62 years of age. She retired 2 years ago, and she is a whiz on Zoom. Right? Because we have done this so many times over the past 18 months, right? And this is definitely a trend that we are seeing, and I didn't think that it's going to go anywhere anytime fast. I think that it's going to stay, for a very long time. And this is where we see the rise from a technical standpoint, and you're going to see a lot of live streaming weddings. This is a bit of a sad thing to say, you're going to see a lot of, yeah, that is true, Adelia. So, sometimes, God forbid, you're going to have like a funeral, and then you're going to have these virtual funeral. It's the same thing with weddings, just in a more happier context, right? You're going to have a lot of people, using the internet to stream their weddings. Now, we at Neil and Taylor have three, how I should say, websites, websites that we are really excited about. All right, we love those 3 websites. The first one, now I wanted to do a screen share so that you can see it, but I'll have to explain it. Right now, The first one is what we call, I think you call it Soul Love or Love Stream. Sorry, Love Stream. Now, Love Stream, you could Google it as well. They offer a service, this service in over 152 plus countries. And I'm not sure if it's done here in Trinidad and Tobago, but I know it's done for a lot of countries. And I'm assuming it's done here as well, right? But I love the concept. We love this concept. And it's like this live streaming platform that has been built specifically for this new age type of virtual weddings. And it's got all the bells and the whistles, and it got some sort of easy one-click system, and you can have unlimited guests, and you know you have like multiple camera views, and how it works. I think what you do is that they give you a link so that you would do like this speed test. Once you do the speed test to see how fast your Wi-Fi is operating, they make recommendations, whatever it is, and then things like that, right? And they have all this sort of, extra add-ons like guest book and professional streaming equipment and whatever. It's a lot, right? So that is the one way persons can go. And then you have another website called Simply Eloped. And this is for people who just say, here what? I don't want nobody in my wedding. I just want to have it, him and I, and that's it. Right? And Simply Eloped, they created this wedding live streaming platform, and they have this legally ordained officiant. Now remember, if you eloped, it's not going to be in your resident country. It's going to be like, in some other place, right? So what they do is that they already have a pastor, all right, or somebody who will be officiating the wedding, and then they assist with this tech support, and and what they do is like, sometimes you're doing a live stream, and then you're going to have some of these guests who are not really tech savvy, and you'll hear all the background noise and all of that. So what they do is like they mute the guests, and they fix you up nice. So that's Simply Eloped, right? And then you have another website called Wordfully. And what they did is that they collaborated with Zoom, and they offer this Lux virtual wedding package, right? And you can have things like MC and e-invites, and they build a custom website. You have so many things, and this is more going towards the virtual wedding, right? So again, you have the first part where Love Stream, and Love Stream, you can do your own decor. You can have someone do your decor, and then they stream your wedding for you, high quality to wherever. Then you have, the other one, which is Simply Eloped. You eloped, and they fix you up. And then you have, Wordfully, all right? However, this one I think is one of my absolute favorite. It's called video mapping, right? And this has become even bigger pre-pandemic, because you can have this really transform experience. So what they do basically is like a projection light in something that can take you, so you could be literally dancing under the Eiffel Tower and getting married virtually, right? And then you could invite unlimited number of guests, and they could feel like if they are with you. You could have your dearest and your nearest with you, but virtually. But the difference is like a projection, something that, whatever your theme is, if you want to have a Paris theme, if you want to have whatever, they project that. So you would feel like if you are actually there, like a 3D something. I think that's really cool. I just love that. All right. And then you have, what we have seen as well is a lot of bride and grooms are kind of moving away from being too serious with their weddings, too formal, all right? And I'm referring to the seriousness of the past year. So, with this pandemic, a lot of persons just trying to inject a little bit more humor and lighter moments into their celebrations, make it more fun, right? And they just, and you would see persons including things like having bouncy castle at their weddings. They want to have people, relax, a lot of laughter, a lot of fun, a lot of things like that, right? And this is what we are also seeing happening. They are also doing a lot of bold, bright colors because they don't want to be so stiff. Weddings are like, how should I put it? It is, most of the times, it is very formal. But at least here in Trinidad and Tobago, it's very traditional. That's a better way of putting it, traditional. And then you would have some other couples who say, yeah, what? I want fun. Fun is if I have a wheel, you have decor, you have the various elements that makes a part of your wedding. You have your food, you have your bar, you have your transportation, you have whatever. I want something that is fun, but that is as part of my wish list, right? And that is why you're seeing a lot of persons, they're going outside of the norm, right? They just want the guests to be more relaxed and more happy and just not think about, COVID-19, right? So couples marrying in 2021 and 2022 and beyond that are going to be, they want to show their guests a bit more love and gratitude, because they are, this is where you are actually, you're not sure if you're going to see person, if you're going to see a good friend or a family member tomorrow, right? It's like you're living in the unknown, all right? So this is where a lot of persons are injecting a lot of fun, and they're trying to get their friends to have or their planners. They're going to ask them to do things like like personal notes on place settings, arrange for the guests to take home flowers. They kind of incorporate acts of kindness into their into their big day, and that is what a lot of persons are doing. Now we at Neil and Taylor, what we do as part of our branding is that we give all of our couples a personalized Neil and Taylor tote bag, and then you get a bottle of wine, and then you get a customized biscuit, right? So this is part of the way of we showing appreciation to our clients. Now listen, you don't have to do that, right? It's just that, remember, you are a fish in an ocean, right? And there are so many other planners, so many other persons there doing the very same thing that you are doing. And I'm not just talking about in the wedding industry. I'm speaking about whether you are again a caterer or if you are a seamstress. Plus clients don't have to come to you, they come to you because they appreciate what you are doing. You are providing a service that they are happy with, and and you on the other hand, you have to make them feel appreciated. And that is why we incorporate into our brand as part of our appreciation to our clients. We do that for them, right? And so this is basically as your clients, I just want to have that extra layer of appreciation to their guests, to the guest experience. They want to be grateful for health and safety, and and they just want to have the opportunity to finally be able to celebrate with the loved ones, right? Okay, so I just want to put something out there. You have this Swiss poet, I hope I pronounced the gentleman's names correctly. It's called Humanas, right? And he have this saying which I really love. It says, I've always believed that whatsoever good or bad fortune may come my way, we can always give it meaning and transform it into something of value, right? Now, I know it's hard to find something of value out of a pandemic, but you know what? I'm going to try. I just love that quote for him. I'm going to take lemons and make lemonade with it, right? And we as event professionals, we need to do that, all right? So I just thought I will share that with you guys. Now the pandemic has taught us, and if not all of us, whether we are again designer, planners, makeup artists, bakers, caterers, hairdressers, whatever, right? That change is inevitable and it needs to be mastered, not failed, right? And we have become so much more resourceful in our own way, and we have become more creative, we have become more flexible, and when it comes to being open to the possibilities of modifying our plans, all right, we have done it, right? So being adaptable is just one trend that I would say that has been gleaned from the pandemic, and there are many more out there, right? But we need to try, as I said, to think about the pandemic from something that needs to be mastered and not fake. I hope I'm making sense to you guys, right? Now, there is something truly magical about being able to celebrate with your closest loved one in attendance. I mean, nothing could beat that, right? But I think gone are the days where couples are spending, a lot of time at receptions, shaking hands, saying hello, having dinner and so on. I think all of that have been gone. We don't know when that is going to come back. So this is the new normal. Yeah, and obviously we would love to see, the return of these grand celebrations and all of that. But I think in some places and for some couples, smaller wedding parties are here to stay, and we are seeing it, right? So, you will have a smaller head count, and as I've mentioned, it often paves the way for a much more purposeful investment. Again, you don't necessarily have to spend all that money on your wedding, right? Remember, it's one day, there's life after that, right? So you could have more money to spend on something else, whether it be a loan, whether it be put in towards a home, things like that. So, another thing that we have noticed is that, the culinary experience, in terms of persons who are clients for our couples and so on. A lot of persons have mentioned, you want to have this meaningful time that you want to spend with your loved ones. So again, as I said, your head count, right, is going to be smaller with a higher budget, right? So a way that you could probably incorporate, your budget when it comes to food and beverage is something called, not food and beverage, something called welcome boxes. I'm not sure if you heard of the term welcome boxes. And welcome gifts for guests are nothing new. They have been very popular, especially with destination weddings, and especially for some time now. This was before pandemic hit. This was pre-pandemic, right? And right now you may not have a lot of person doing that, but you can find ways of being able to still show your appreciation to your guests without actually having too much physical interaction, right? So you could do something like, you have your gift, your welcome boxes, and you could do it like a pandemic box. So you could have like a face mask, you could have like hand sanitizers, you could have like, hand cream, things like that. And normally those welcome boxes are what you would see brides would give to their bridesmaids or their bridal party. So those are welcome boxes. Sometimes persons will have like a robe in it, and they may have like a glass that says bride, or would you be my bride, things like that. So those are welcome boxes, right? And as I said, you could have like a coronavirus, all the essentials like your face mask, your hand sanitizers, and whatever fun items that you want to put in there, right? And not only are they great for safety, but it also helps create that luxurious experience, right? Now again, you don't only have to do this for weddings, right? You could do this if you yourself is having a DIY and you want to do something for your guests. You can do something like that, right? Some persons may not want to have somebody stand up by the door and spray, but they will hand you a box, and you open, you do whatever you have to do, and then you come in. You put on your face mask, things like that, right? You have so many things that you could do, right, to give your guests that that experience, that luxurious experience. And you know what you can also do with these boxes as well? Some persons would have, when you're having your event or your wedding or your birthday party, or like some time ago, I think was about 2 months ago, I went a sip and paint, right? And what we did at this sip and paint is that so the person who was having the birthday party, she was in Tobago, her sister was in New York, or in the US, and all of us were here in Trinidad. And what we did is that, they would have, some persons would have had the welcome boxes where they would have their little mini paints and so on, and bottle of wine, and we are virtual and we are having fun. We're playing games, we're doing all of that. So you can do the same thing with your wedding, right? You can give out these boxes ahead of time, because you're not going to give it out to everybody, but you can give it out to, the persons that you appreciate the most, like your immediate family and whatever, things like that. That's a really good way of having your guests feel that, how should I say, that appreciation, right? Even though they cannot attend your wedding, they still feel as if they are part of, right? And then we have seen, this is a new trend that we have never seen before. This is it's called, socially distanced comfort colors. Socially distanced comfort colors. I know it sounds weird, right? And this is where you see some people, they are not feeling very comfortable with persons coming in their space, too much close proximity to those who basically aren't in your social bubble. And you can do things like face masks, but in different colors, to depict your level of comfortability. But I'm not saying that you're going to make people feel like this person is more important over the other person. I'm not saying that. So let me give you an example. Some years ago, when I was training with the Untitled Chapter Graduate School of Business in event planning, we had a wedding with a very influential person, and this was at the Trinidad Hilton. And what the client did is that they told us persons who were service persons, for example, like the live band, they wore a particular color handband. The guests on the woman's side wear a particular color. On the male side, they wear a particular color. The immediate family wear a color. Volunteers a color. Food staff a color. So so when you have 300 and 400 plus guests, right? I'm not saying it's happening now. I'm just giving you a reference. So when you have all these people, the immediate family could look at you at a glance and they could say, oh, okay, well, this person is, or that person is, all right? So I'm saying, with this distance comfort colors, right, that we are now seeing happening, you can do something similar to that. However, you could use it with face masks, right? And you could say, well, persons in the green, which may be my immediate family, I'm willing to accept hugs from them because you live in the same house, right? However, everybody else, you can wear yellow, or you can wear red, or you can wear green, or you can wear purple, or you can wear white, or whatever color, right? You could give me the elbow, right? Or whatever. You can put your own spin on it. You could, do it as you see fit, right? Now, in terms of, yes, Nicole, you can do that. I think that it's, doing things, you just don't limit your imagination when you are planning, right? Just put your own spin on things and you can do different things. Now, another area that has been hit really hard through this COVID-19, I know, all the economy had been hit. I mean, we are aware of that. But you see, catering, that is one of the sectors that hit really hard. And the reason why I'm saying that is because of the health and safety reasons, right? So you are not seeing, so what we have noticed in terms of trends is that you're seeing some of our old favorites emerging, where you're not seeing so many wedding cakes. Like a person may have, normally you would have his cake, a her cake, and then you would have whatever, right? Some person may just have one cake, right? They may have like a triple layer, they may have whatever, but they're not having as many. Sometimes you would see cakes going this way, and cake in the middle. You know what I'm saying? So you're not seeing that. But and another example of things that we have seen is that, or what you can do as well in terms of catering for your wedding or for your birthday party or for your whatever event that you're having, you can do things like having like those mini cheese board, or there's some, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, I think it's called charcuterie boards. And what that is like a tray with a selection of meats and foods, but what you can do, you can have it either do, like one per guest, or you can share it with a couple, right? Or you can do something called those Benito boxes, those are like those single portion meal boxes. You can do that as well, so you don't have people touching, too much touching, you know. And you know, you can do things like that, self-contained appetizers for your cocktails, you know, things like that, right? Because we're not going to be seeing, yes, we would like to have like buffet style, like what you would normally see, everybody go and they touch and they take up and they whatever, but right now people are not doing that. They're not doing that, you know. So you need to be a bit innovative in the way that you appreciate your guests, and you make your guests feel really comfortable without feeling like, you know, you're scorning them, or you know, people don't want to feel like that. But you just need to be a bit more creative in the way you present your product to your clients. All right. So again, like I'm saying, family style dining, yeah, that's not coming back. We're not seeing that in a while, right? Or any type of self-serve food station for that matter. Sometimes you go to the Hyatt and you know they have these food stations, the pasta stations. I don't know if they're doing it now, but I have not seen it. So you all can tell me if when you go to a restaurant and so on, if you're seeing that, but I'm not seeing it, right? Because you know, the collective comfort level that our new germ awareness is not going to suddenly allow us to just forget and go back to our old traditional ways, all right? And that is one of the things we have learned over the past 18 months. So you will see more of the white glove service, and when I say white glove, I'm referring to like those plated meals, right? Along with those individualized servings that I mentioned earlier. You're not going to see persons just going and touching and picking up anything, right? And let's not forget the drinks, right? You know, those pre-made cocktails, you know, you can serve it in so many different ways. Again, you need to be innovative. You can mix it ahead of time, and basically what you're trying to do is alleviate any potential for a lineup at your bar. Again, I'm not just speaking weddings, I'm speaking events as a whole, right? So you could do on the table, you can do those bottles or mason jars. I love mason jars, right? You know, because what you can do, I mean, a mason jar has so many different, it's so versatile, right? You have the bottles that you can, you know, put like, dress it up like script tags. You could put guest names on it. You can put roses or petals and things like that. Or you can do mason jars. Now, let me just give you a little tip outside of events. I discovered this only, 3 weeks ago, sorry. I got from a really good client, I think it was last year, a really large mason jar. It was filled with cookies. So one day I was just feeling a bit lazy to go and put on the blender, and I just used the mason jar, and I have been using it ever since. Alright, so that's just a tip for you guys. I learned this. You can do that as well. You could put your smoothies in it and take it to work and so on. Just blend it up, the mason jar. You can use it as a blender. Just throwing that in there. Alright, so let me go back to your drinks. So remember, drinks is an extension of your design, right? I look at everything as a design is like this. It needs to come together cohesively, right? And you could do things like I said, the mason jars. You could put like petals in your ice cubes, you know, and you could flavor it and put it in the jar, you know, dress it up, you know, again, do things that will have everything come together that looks really, really good, all right? And it looks really cute, you know, and persons could take that away. They could use the bottle for something else, you know, once you customize it that you see fit, all right? So, in terms of entertainment, now couples are looking for things, you know, to make them want to celebrate. They want to, you know, be joyful as, you know, with the vaccine and so on, that hopefully you get back to some sort of normalcy. Persons want to have that fun factor, right? So, you know, you have a lot of live DJs, and the most popular that you would see is like with persons who may go with a saxophone or a violinist together with a DJ, right? And, you know, it's really addictive. You know, it have people on their feet and, you know, things like that, right? But of course, because of this whole new normal, you may not have all of that. Yes, you may have it, but again, you may have a really small guest count, because dependent on your restrictions or what your restrictions permit, right? And of course, I hate to say it, guys, DIY is back. Alright? You know what? You have couples who spend so much time at home, and some of them is not by choice, right? Some persons may have lost their jobs, or maybe some persons are home due to the restriction lockdown, and you know, you're learning a lot of new things, alright? Like what we are doing over at the NT Academy. We are teaching, you know, basic draping, alright? So persons are learning to bake cakes, to do candy bar, candy stations, sweet tables, crochet, all these different things people are doing. And you know, they want to show it, like you could do centerpieces, you know, all these different things. So you'll see a lot of DIYs happening right now, right? Another thing too, under the global trend that we are seeing from some specific regions and some countries, and of course you have to remember that not everybody is recovering from the pandemic at the same speed, all right? So for example, you have countries like South Africa, and they were in a recent lockdown, but then from what I understand, I could be wrong, from what I understand, they are easing up their restrictions a bit, all right? And then you will have some areas in the US where they are almost back to normal, right? And then I understand Prime Minister Boris Johnson, he announced in the UK, I think that was on the 19th of July or so, that it looks like all bets are off and life is going to be returning back to some sort of normalcy, right? But here in Trinidad, we are still, you know, not where some of the other countries are, all right? So you have some Swazi couples are realizing that, and they know that, you know, peak wedding season may be coming up, and in some spaces, particularly like in Trinidad, you now have the retail sector that is now beginning to materialize, right? So you may not get a lot of bargains items like you would get if things were, you know, normal, all right? So people need to take that into consideration as well. I mean, we could hope, but you need to take that into consideration as well, right? Now, here in Trinidad, although it's small, this is a beautiful island, right? You have to agree with me on that. We have our rainy season and we have our dry season, and we have noticed that wedding is no longer just a day. You have persons making it into an event, right? So they want to come together. It's like a time to come together and make memories, and you know, here is really beautiful. Is a perfect choice for that, you know. But I love this term that I've heard someone said it. They said informally informally fabulous, and us Trinidadians do informally fabulous brilliantly, right? So smaller weddings can mean that budgets can stretch even further, right? And as we said earlier, and this is where things like welcome parties or pool parties or group barbecues and local visits for like wine tasting or cake tasting, that comes into play. And you know, couples may be hosting weddings with fewer guests, but they are choosing to be a bit more informal on their entertainment and, you know, the different food options and things like that I would have mentioned, you know, a little while ago, right? So you have some couples, like someone who is one of our groom. He said that he want to hire a doubles vendor, right? So he's being a bit, yes, he want to have the white glove experience, but he also wants to put his own spin on it, right? He wants his guests to have fun. He wants them to be comfortable. He wants them to feel, you know, not just extra traditional where you come, you sit down and you just, you know, talk with people around your table. He wants people to have fun. And that is, again, one of the trends, like I mentioned earlier, that we are seeing a lot of in this second quarter of 2021, or third quarter, sorry, right, of 2021, right? So let me just put this in there as well. Now, you would have been living on a completely different planet if you have not heard of this next split hit called Bridgerton, right? And where it have everything dramatic, right? Even the storyline is dramatic. You know, all the romance and the fabulous ballrooms and everything stunning, and you know, the outlandish costumes and all of that, right? So we at Neil and Taylor, being in the rental wedding business as well, we have recognized that clients are coming to us and asking for dress that works well with corset, or dress that has corset in it, right? And if you watch Bridgerton, you would notice that that is one of the central garments in the show, right? And you also have brides asking for those empire waist dresses, and that we realize is a surge in popularity. At one point, it was like, I think was the princess style gown, and then it was more of the, what you call this, the mermaid style. But now we are realizing that a lot of guests are asking for, the empire style, right? And that is what we are seeing trending as well, right? You have some persons who want to emulate Daphne Bridgerton, her simple 1800 style wedding dress, and with that, puff sleeves and so on. You have persons asking for that. And then another area that we have noticed here, we have got this term from one of our popular soca artists, is backyard jam, right? And due to the pandemic, overseas travel is now very questionable, right? And yes, persons are traveling, but in terms of going for like vacation and so on, you're not seeing a lot of people doing that, right? So couples are exploring their own local backyard for the romantic honeymoon and so on. And luckily, we here in Trinidad, we have this fabulous backyard, right? And I can definitely attest to that because I've lived here all my life, right? So you are seeing that as well, where persons are preferring to have their honeymoon locally, wherever in the world they may be, right? That's another trend that we have seen in this 2021, right? In terms of restaurant receptions, so one of the plus sides, or not just reception, but like again I'm saying, whether you go and you want to have a girls' lime, or you want to have a birthday party and so on, one of the plus sides to having limited guests is that you get to host your reception in venue that you would not have been able to do in previous years, right? So the idea of having like a breakfast brunch, right, at your favorite restaurant, you couldn't do that because again, the head count, right? So you want to have this, this cool girl appeal kind of thing that reminds you of Sex in the City with, with Carrie Bradshaw and so on. You can do that now for your wedding, whether it be a brunch, whether it be a breakfast, whether it be an afternoon lunch or whatever. But you can now be also seeing a surge in that area as well. I'm not speaking locally here, but this is statistics show for global, right? We all know that the lockdown has had a huge strain in every economy globally, right? And more couples are choosing to support local, right, rather than the foreign suppliers. So the buzz about going, to your bridal salon, or you want to go and feel the texture, the fabric, and you have your whole entourage going into, you're not seeing that, right? So brides are going to like independent shops like us, or they are going to like the big department stores like Judy's and so on to purchase dresses, but they are preferring to use their local vendors as compared to these big guns like Amazon and those large corporate brands and so on, right? So moving on to another trend that we notice, couples are 100% ready to celebrate, and we are seeing a growing trend of bold colors, right, for the big day. Bold colors, from the attire to the invitation to everything. They want to show like these joyful expressions to incorporate into their special day. They want to have fun, like I would have mentioned earlier. And then one of the colors that we are seeing that is really popular is blush and a lot of earth tones, especially in the florals, right? But there's also this trend towards hypertone and those brightly colored blooms and those tropically inspired weddings and those bright pops of colors and so on. We're seeing a lot of that going beyond 2021 into 2022, right? Just basically joyful expressions, to say, well, finally we could have our event and we can celebrate and we could have fun without having this feeling so restricted and so on. So that's one of the joyful expressions that we are seeing, bold colors for 2021 into 2022 and beyond, right? Now, I'm not sure if you have heard of this. It's called Cottage core weddings, right? And we here in Trinidad and Tobago, we will normally call it enchanted garden theme weddings. And this is, and we have also seen a surge in that as well. Now, Cottagecore weddings was actually inspired by this romantic ideal of living in a, this secluded countryside home, and I think it gained popularity on TikTok and on Pinterest, with posts to inspire this, those long billowy dresses, those basket of flowers, the crown of flowers in the hair, and so on and so on, right? And that romantic and nostalgic trend actually lends itself beautifully to the bridal industry. And cottagecore, again, it's full of this whimsical nature, inspired touches, and like wildflowers and handwritten notes and all these fancy things, all right? And a lot of persons are incorporating that into their design as well. So for you upcoming brides, that's another area that you can look at. Like for example, we have an upcoming wedding, and this is actually leaning towards that, right? So now, if the pandemic has taught us anything, it's certainly taught us how precious things are. And in 2022, I think you're gonna expect couples to incorporate digital into their wedding plans, and that is by being more conscious of the environment and nature and so on, right? So it have this site, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, it's called Punchbowl. We use that a lot. It's this digital site that you can send digital invitations to. So for all my nieces and my nephews and so on, if you're having like their birthday parties or whatever, we would send digital invitations to all their friends, and it looks really beautiful, right? So that's a site you can check out as well. So what I'm going to do, because I couldn't share my screen, what I'm going to do, I'm going to post all the links that I am referring to, the different sites. I'm going to post that below this video, all right? Now, before we finish off, I just want to give you 3 tips on how you can really leverage trends within your design to help you stand out from the crowd. Be original, right? I think one of the common objections to the concept of trends is that it doesn't allow for originality and personal style. And I think there is something, or sometimes a misconception, that following a visual trend means producing or being a copycat, right? And the key thing to remember with trends is that there is so much more scope for translation. And when you are designing your client's personal style and your professional signature style, it should basically be influenced by the trend lead design that you are designing. So for example, my take on a eco-conscious wedding will be like a minimalist wedding, right? Whereas if I'm going to do a classical wedding, it's going to be elegant and traditional, and it's going to be completely different, right? So be selective. 2, working with trends is not about throwing everything at the wall and seeing what sticks, right? You need to be selective about what trends you use within your industry, whether it be wedding, whether it be whatever industry that you belong to. It's not about quantity, it's about quality, right? So use what is relevant. Now, it's really common for clients to come to you in the beginning, and they will come with 100 different ideas, right? Different colors, different palettes, different things. They will go on Pinterest, they will see different styles, they're going to come with a whole host of pictures, right? But you need to be able to assist them to rationalize and prioritize, and basically help create a clear vision of what they are looking for. And the same principle applies with trends. So work with your clients. So be careful to to pick out what's trending, but at the same time you need to keep their style in there, right? So you can see what you can incorporate into their day, whatever design or whatever you are designing, right? And number 3, please don't forget your clients, right? Make sure your clients are always at the forefront of your mind when you are working on their design, whether it be wedding, whether it be, again, whatever industry that you belongs to. In our opinion, the best events are those that are really visually and emotionally represent a couple's wedding or a couple's experience. And this is high on Neil and Taylor's brand as well, because we like to work with couples, and what we do is that we try to keep their unique and their personal style into their event, right? So be careful not to be carried away with what trending leads, or basically try to find a way to incorporate the trends that is happening into your client's brand or into your client's design, right? You know, you need to keep their preference and style there. So for example, if you have a client who love hosting like a relaxed dinner party, right, for their friends and whatever, and you could perhaps suggest a crazy table, right, instead of those traditional buffets, like again, or those plated service, right? I'm not sure if you heard of the term crazy service, but it's actually called crazy table, right? And this is a table for crazing or eating, right? And unlike a buffet table where guests serve themselves, a crazing table is designed to look very pretty, right? And it basically allows or encourages your guests to walk by and, you know, help themselves and eat and so on. So you'll have things like crackers and cheese and meats and fruits and all these different things, right? Now obviously grazing table styles is going to be a little bit harder right now because of, you know, the pandemic. But if you're doing it with those individual portions like we spoke about earlier, then it can work, right? Don't push trends that don't feel like they match your couple. Don't push it on people. Listen to your couple. Listen to your clients, I should say rather, right? And that is absolutely the key. And that is the key here. Trends are meant to be interpreted. They are meant to be transcended into a style, the look and the feel that your client want, right? Just using a bit of a spin on a trend color, it can make it a trend, right? So you just need to work with your clients. So guys, thank you so very much for taking the time to listen to this segment. I know we had a bit of technical difficulty in the earlier portion with our link over at the NT Academy. However, I will post this video in the NT Academy so persons will be able to view the replay. Alright? Now, I hope that this information that I've shared with you here will be able to, you know, help you think about the different trends that you are seeing or you will be seeing over the next 18 months or so, right? So I work in statistics, so I love to gather data, right? So we were able to go to that report, we were able to do our research, and we were able to observe and see what is happening, and we were able to, you know, come up with something to share with you guys. All right. Also, if you'd like to hear more from us, we also have a podcast. It's called Secrets to Design with Ziska and Diane, and we try to have the podcast at least once for the week where we talk everything draping and basically designing. All right, because we know that, like I said earlier, with DIYs, a lot of persons are trying to learn a new skill. So what we are trying to do is basically share or impart some of our knowledge with you guys. Alright, we don't have a lot of persons doing that, but we think that everybody should at least get a piece of the pie. You can't be greedy, like I said. You know, when God gives you a talent, you can share it. What is for you is for you. You know what I'm saying? So what we are doing over at Neil and Taylor or at NT Academy is teaching basic draping. So we have up a few tutorials where you can take a look at it. For example, how to hide your pole covers. Right, like, so you have a pipe and drape kit and you want to be able to, you know, cover the hardware. If you are a DIY client, you will be able to look at the video and you can see exactly how you can hide pole covers. All right, so our next live, which we will have either next week Sunday or the Sunday after, we're going to be speaking about pricing. And this is just you know, if you are, like I said, you don't necessarily have to be working in this industry, but the information that we are sharing, you can use that or you can tweak it to suit your industry. So we're going to be speaking about pricing and how you can go about in incorporating that into your design, into your expenses and things of that sort. All right, so guys, it was really great chatting with you. And I hope you have a blessed night. If you have no questions, all right, if you don't feel comfortable sending the message here, send it to me on a private chat. But if you have questions, let me know. If not, guys, you have yourself a blessed night. And as always, please continue to be safe. And thank you so very much for watching. Have a good night.